Hey everyone, Erick Stakelbeck here. Today on the newscast, are Israel and Iran locked in a cyber war? Right now, get all the details coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman newscast. It has been a very busy couple of days since our last newscast on Tuesday, May 19th, and in particular, the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, has been a very busy man. Now, on May 19th, on his official homepage, yes, the Ayatollah has a homepage, he featured a picture, or I guess you would say an illustration, featuring Iranian forces and Hezbollah essentially conquering Jerusalem, planting the Palestinian flag atop the Temple Mount, and also showing very prominently the picture of arch-terrorist, the not-so-dearly departed Qasem Soleimani. Now, as if the picture didn't reveal enough about the Iranian regime's goals and intentions, above the picture was a very, very revealing and disturbing caption. It read in part, "Palestine will be free. The final solution." I repeat, the final solution. Folks, do those words ring a bell for anyone watching right now? Think back to, I don't know, the early 1940s when Hitler and the Nazi regime devised something they called the final solution, which resulted in a Holocaust and the slaughter of 6 million Jews. So it's not really a stretch to say that there's a lot that separates the Nazi ideology from the ideology of the Iranian regime and Ayatollah Khamenei. Not the Iranian people, folks. A clear distinction. The Iranian regime has genocidal aims towards not only Israel, but the Jewish people. Whether they live in Tehran, Tel Aviv, Texas, or Toronto, that is the goal. The elimination of every Jew. That's what the Ayatollah wants. Now, after the picture was posted on his homepage, obviously it created quite a stir on social media the past few days. The Ayatollah, he didn't walk it back, but he said, look, we only mean the final solution and the destruction of the state of Israel. Not every Jew in the world, just Israel. So he's saying that the murder of some 6 million Jews in the world's one and only Jewish state is perfectly okay. This is the ideology, folks, and if you do not understand the ideology, you cannot defeat it. What's the first rule of war? Sun Tzu, know your enemy. So if you're in the West, if you're in Israel, if you're a freedom-loving person, no matter where you live around the world, you need to know the ideology of this very, very dangerous regime that's in Tehran right now, and the Ayatollah revealed it clearly for the entire world on, again, his official homepage. Now, there's more that the Ayatollah shared over these past few days. We're about to get into that and the budding cyber war between Israel and Iran. It's going on right now, folks, in real time. Before I get into it, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube, and be sure to click the notification button so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Whether it's our Watchman newscast every Tuesday and Thursday, or clips from our Watchman TV show, which you can see every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's through July 3rd, a special time on TBN, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Then Sunday nights, 12:30 a.m. Eastern on the Fox Business Network. Okay, let's get into it. I mentioned that the Ayatollah was a very busy man over the past few days. Not only this genocidal message on his official homepage, but also some very heated rhetoric, let's say, against Israel and the United States. Number one, he declared in a speech that the United States, U.S. forces, would be expelled from Iraq and Syria. Now, we've been talking about that frequently here on the newscast over the past few weeks and months, that Iran's goal is the complete expulsion of all U.S. forces from the Middle East, from Iraq and Syria in particular, because that's the Iranian regime and the Revolutionary Guard's theater of operations. Now, they were working towards this fervently in the run-up to the death of Qasem Soleimani back in early January, firing rockets at U.S. bases, storming the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, etc. There was a lull, obviously, after Soleimani was killed, but now they are testing the waters once again. We've talked about this here over the past few weeks. Testing the waters once again, and again pushing towards that goal to push the United States out of the Middle East. Hey, that would give Iran a clear path all the way across Iraq, across Syria, right to the doorstep of the state of Israel. You could say in many ways they have it already, because they are trying to be present in the Golan Heights along the Israel-Syria border, but with a clear presence in Syria right now, although the Israel Defense Forces are certainly beating them back and sending a message. But hey, Khamenei played his hand, right? He said the expulsion of U.S. forces from Iraq and Syria, that is our goal. Number two, he declared that Palestinians living in the West Bank, also known as Judea and Samaria, the biblical heartland, those Palestinians, said Khamenei, should be armed and ready for combat, just like the Palestinians who live in Gaza under the rule of Hamas, an Iranian proxy. Now, the Iranian regime has clearly done a pretty good job, sadly and unfortunately, of arming Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza. They would love to do the same in the West Bank, in those Palestinian areas there. And it's interesting, as Khamenei says this, we have apparently an attempt to smuggle weapons from Jordan into Israel. That was thwarted, thankfully, but the timing was very interesting there. Weapons coming from Jordan, presumably into the West Bank, also known as, again, Judea and Samaria, the biblical heartland. So Khamenei is essentially upping his game, I guess you would say. The threats continue, and we told you this here, folks, on the newscast. Soleimani dead and gone, good riddance. It hurt the regime and hurt them bad. He was the second most powerful man in all of Iran, but his elimination did not change the calculation of the Iranian regime, their endgame, or their ideology one bit. The great Satan, the United States, their words, not mine, the great Satan, and the little Satan, Israel, again, their words, are firmly in their crosshairs. That has not changed. And the thing is, it's not just bluster and rhetoric. They will actually shape policies around these beliefs. That's the key point. You know, I read today in the Jerusalem Post a great point that the Iranian regime right now is literally the only regime, the only government in the world that is openly vowing that it will destroy another country, openly calling for the destruction of another sovereign nation, the state of Israel. Isn't that something? I guess you can make an argument that North Korea, Iran's close ally, by the way, North Korea, and the Kim Jong-un regime, I guess you could make the argument that they also have threatened destruction against the United States and other nations. But Iran, on literally a daily basis, is calling for the destruction of Israel. Not only that, some pretty heated, shall I say, rhetoric against the United States as well. And this is apparently accepted by the world community because, look, the world, much of the world still wants to do business with the Iranian regime. And hey, Europe, they don't want they want to keep the Iran nuclear deal. They threw a fit when President Trump rightly pulled out of it. So I've said it again, folks. I'll say it again. I've said it before here on the newscast. We live in a world, a kind of, I guess you would say, a world turned upside down. Bible times, when good is considered evil and evil is considered good. Now, on to this cyber war, this budding cyber war that we've been telling you about. If you look back at the May 7th newscast in our archives here on the Watchman News channel on YouTube, you will see that we told you about an attempted Iranian cyber attack against Israel. In particular, Iran attempted to attack Israel's water supply. Could have been a very big deal, folks. Think about that. To shut down a nation's water supply, that's exactly what Iran tried to do in late April. Thankfully, it was unsuccessful, but in the view of Israeli officials, Iran crossed a very serious red line here with this cyber attack. There had to be an answer for that. And Israel reportedly did answer on May 9th, the Iranian port of Bandar Abbas. Now, it's right on the Strait of Hormuz, that strategically vital waterway where a lot of the world's oil supply passes through every day. Bandar Abbas is, again, Iran's most important and its largest port, right there in the Strait of Hormuz. Israel, it seems to be Israel, in a cyber attack, right back at you, Iran, shut down that port and caused real chaos and disarray for a time. And you would assume shut down trucking into the port. Ships with supplies were kind of floating there idle, I suppose, in the port because the computer systems were hacked into. So the cyber game, I don't want to say cyber game, it's a cyber war. The stakes are getting higher. Iran, the Iranian regime, I should say, crossed a red line to try to hack into Israel's water supply during a global pandemic, no less. Folks, that was a very big deal. And again, it shows you that the Iranian regime, despite the death of Soleimani, good riddance, they're not getting less bold. They're becoming more bold in many ways, it's ideology, number one, but there's a sense of desperation there, right? We've told you here in the newscast how they have their backs against the wall. Look, U.S. sanctions are biting. COVID-19 has really had an impact on Iran. Probably tens of thousands have been killed in that country, including key members of the regime and some leading clerics. They're not telling you a lot about that in the Iranian media, but that's what's happening. Most around the world believe. You're not going to get the real story, obviously, from a tyranny like the Iranian regime. But they've been hit hard by COVID-19. They've been hit hard by U.S. sanctions. They've been hit hard by Israel inside Syria, and their proxy Hezbollah has also been hit in Syria. And we told you last week how Germany, arguably the most powerful country in the European Union, has banned Hezbollah from operating on German soil. So it's been a series of lumps that the Iranian regime has taken, and they, historically, this fits with their MO, they're not going to kind of back down, back off, and just kind of lay off to the side. They're going to lash back because, folks, this is not a popular regime. Needless to say, inside Iran, in 2009, for example, we had 1 million Iranians in the streets of Tehran chanting for the downfall of this regime. The president here in the United States at the time, Barack Obama, to me it was a tear down this wall moment where some powerful rhetoric in support of the Iranian people could have gone a long way. Instead, he said, and I quote, "We don't want to be seen as meddling." Opportunity lost. Now, 11 years on, we have the dire situation that we are in today with this regime continuing to slaughter and oppress its own people, continuing to target Christians brutally. And by the way, another piece of news we wanted to share with you last weekend, the tomb of Mordecai and Esther, biblical heroes obviously, in Iran, was vandalized in an arson attack. Wow. You think of the story of Mordecai and Esther, it went down in Persia, which is modern day Iran, but their tomb reportedly was subject to an arson attack. Very sad thing, but a sign of the times in Iran. With this cyber war that seems to be growing, what comes next? You think back a few years ago, actually, folks, remember the term Stuxnet? Weird name, I know, but it's the thought and the reports that Israel hacked into Iran's nuclear weapons program and caused a lot of havoc there. Basically, a computer virus profoundly affected Iran's nuclear weapons program. This was during the second half of the Obama administration. Remember, the Obama administration was trying everything it could to restrain Israel from doing anything against the Iranian regime. So there is a history here. But I will tell you, Iran has a pretty advanced cyber warfare operation, but I can tell you no one does it better than Israel. I actually spent some time with the cyber warfare team of the Israel Defense Forces a few years ago. I was very impressed by what I saw. I'll leave it at that, but keep an eye on this because someone described it today as tit for tat. Okay, Iran tried to shut down Israel's water supply. Israel successfully shut down Iran's largest port, and so it goes. Will there be Iranian retaliation right now? This is something we will be keeping an eye on here, right here on the Watchman Newscast. Before we go, two quick bits of information we wanted to inform you of. Number one, of course, our QAEDA Virtual Summit. Again, June 28th to the 30th, The QAEDA, every year we're in DC, thousands of us. This year, because of COVID-19 restrictions, we're doing it online. The QAEDA Virtual Summit, it is absolutely free. You can register at cufi.org. You see the URL there on your screen. This is the premier pro-Israel event in the United States every year. And this year, you can enjoy it for free from the comfort of your living room. See speakers like the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, the Israeli Ambassador to the United States, Ron Dermer, Nikki Haley, Pastor John Hagee, Dennis Prager, yours truly, the Watchman, many more will be speaking at our QAEDA Virtual Summit. You can watch it online from the comfort of your home. Again, you see the URL. You can register, get all the details there, June 28th to the 30th. Until next time, if you're in the United States, have a happy Memorial Day. If you're anywhere else in the world, God bless you. We continue to pray for all of our viewers and your families during this crazy time we are all living through together. God still sits on the throne, and that's the great thing about it that we all need to remember. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.